Hello, my name is Jim Connell, and I am the president of BioFit Engineered Products. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the new SEFA standard for lab-grade seating. And with me, I'm joined by Ed.
Yes, I'm Ed Metzger. I'm past president of BioFit and also one of the co-chairs of the SEFA lab grade chair standard, and now a consultant for BioFit.
I'm Matt Coyne, National Sales Manager for BioFit Engineering Products. Thanks for joining us today.
And we're going to talk a little bit now about the standard itself. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Ed.
All right, super. Thanks, Jim. Okay, well, the first thing we want to talk about is why is a lab grade standard needed for seating? And it's really simple because not any chair or stool is going to work in a lab environment. The environment has a lot of special needs. There's a lot of spills that happen. There's a lot of chemicals that are used that a chair has to be resistant to. And of course, a lot of cleaning that happens when these things happen. We talked about when we started developing this standard, we started really zeroing in on things like ergonomics and things of that nature, but we had to stop and take a step back and talk about, wait a minute, let's look at the wide range of seating that's available on the market and needed, like things for schools. School labs don't necessarily have the high ergonomic needs. Commercial labs, though, do. And then there's biosafety labs and places like that that have special cleaning and kinds of things that need to be sanitized, those sorts of things. So it's very important to be very broad in terms of the reach.
That is a very broad range of different types of labs you have to take into consideration when developing it.
Yeah, it was. And so that had a big impact on a lot of the things we did in this standard. Of course, ergonomics is important in a lot of different lab applications. And that's because the sitting postures and the tasks that happen in laboratories are different than those that we find in other areas. The chairs and stools have to be engineered to accommodate those kinds of postures, and also to be able to support these awkward postures that oftentimes we see in lab markets. And then the other thing, again, talking about the broad range of seating needs, some labs have virtually zero ergonomic needs because people are only sitting, for 5 minutes or so and then getting up and doing something different. But the other big issue that we wanted to deal with is safety. Safety for the lab workers, but also safety for the laboratory itself. For the workers, there are differences in the flooring, which has an impact on chairs sliding away from the users. On the apparel, lab coats make the chair seem more slippery. And of course, these postures I was talking about before that really can cause problems in the neck, shoulders, and backs of users sitting there. So it's very different than seating in other areas. In the studies that we researched as we were doing this work, we found that proper lab seating can improve health, performance, safety, quality, and motivation. All really, really important things to the organizations that lab workers are working for, but also for the lab workers themselves. When they're feeling better, when they're healthy, when they can really pay attention to the work they have at hand, they can do more work and they can do better quality work. So that's very important things that we wanted to make sure we addressed.
Two very important things, that's for sure.
Yep. So we studied lab workers. Now, we don't want to say that we just did this during the writing of the standard, because we've been studying laboratory workers for years. All the members of the SEFA committee, particularly the seating members, BioFit has been in business since 1946, and we started in the lab seating business. And the other seating members also had years and years of experience in the market. But there also was a 2007 study done by the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany that aided and gave us more information as well. And so what we found in a lot of this stuff is that most ergonomic seating today is developed for office tasks, which include keyboarding, mousing, and other types of computer work. And although computer work is done in laboratories, there are many other tasks that are done that have very different postures in the laboratory environment.
And I think that's really important to note, is just how different the functions are and the different positions you're going to be in when you're in a lab. When you're pipetting, you're going to be hunched over, staring very intently at what you're doing. Or if it's swabbing Petri dishes, or look at the guy over here leaning over, staring into the microscope. And And so that's very, very different from the traditional office posture where you're just sitting up straight, typing on a keyboard, answering the phone, using a mouse, very, very different. So we really need to take those into considerations, and you can see that the typical impact that it has onto your spine, your shoulders, your joints. It's a very, very different ergonomic posture that people are going to be in. Other things to consider as well is that, the workers are going to be at a higher seat height. They're going to be sitting up often at bench height, not at desk height. They're going to have to be holding their posture for a long period of time when they're doing very intense, detailed work. They also have to be aware of potential chemicals, whether that's a chemical spill or just handling the chemicals in general. Um, and then whether that's also, you got to make sure the potential gaps and being aware of those that are going to be in the chair.
Yeah, that was a big one that we found as we were working. Because the requirements that we found as we were going through and looking at the studies and those kinds of things, we determined that, lab seating had to be resistant to chemicals, also had to be able to be disinfected, and sometimes even need to be antibacterial. And when you think about that, joints and seams on the chair that would trap foreign debris, liquids, and things like that had to be completely reduced in lab seating. The seating needed to be ergonomic, washable, and comfortable for long-term laboratory use. When somebody's sitting for hours at a time gazing into a microscope, boy, the chair has to be comfortable. And of course, no hazardous materials could be used in a lab chair because that may affect the employee, the lab worker, but also the laboratory processes themselves. And then for safety and durability, we wanted to specify that the chair must, at a minimum, meet at least the BIFMA and or the GS European durability safety norms.
Those minimum joints, I think, are something that, often you don't think about when you're just thinking about a chair, but that actually could have a negative impact on a lab environment.
Yeah, sure can, especially when you talk about things like organic material and the fact that microbes can breed and those kinds of things or whatever could certainly have an impact. So, construction basics, the chair had to prohibit entrapment of dirt, fluids, and any organic materials. And if there are gaps or creases, they have to be large enough to allow cleaners, wipes, cleaning tools, and things to get in to really do a good cleaning job. Upholstery can't be woven or porous. Of course, those are places where dirt and things can trap. And then the upholstery, for durability reasons, would need to pass the Martindale or the Weizenbeek test methods, so we can make sure they're going to hold up in a lab environment. So some other things that we found while we were doing this, one was we knew that in a lot of industries, chairs are cleaned, but they're not cleaned properly, and they're cleaned in a way that it causes the upholstery to degrade and can also cause rusting and corroding of metal parts and things like that. So we developed a cleaning protocol that would help to assure long life of the seating equipment. So it was a good thing for us to finally put that in writing so people would know how to clean the chair properly.
And boy, that really came into the national spotlight in the last couple of years with the whole COVID pandemic and everybody being so conscious about cleaning everything and wiping everything down.
Yep, cleaning and sanitizing, no question. And then upholstery tests were developed to assure that upholstered surfaces and even non-upholstered surfaces could hold up to SEFA's recommended list of 49 chemicals, which is important, again, for long-term use. And the findings that we got from that work that we did showed that standard upholstery vinyl, which is PVC, is a pretty adequate covering for upholstery. But there are other coated materials, silicon coated and polyurethane coated materials that are out there that are also sometimes better in chemical resistance to PVC, but it depends on the chemical. So always best when you're working with a manufacturer to let them know what's going on is to let us know what kind of chemicals are being used in the lab. That way we can specify the right upholstery material or perhaps not even an upholstered product at all. This is kind of what the test setup looked like for the 49 chemical test. This obviously isn't all 49 chemicals, but this is just some of the done. And you can see on the left-hand side of the upholstered swatches, those are volatile chemicals that are going to evaporate quickly. They're put under a shot glass with a ball of cotton to assure that the chemical maintains a long-term surface contact with the upholstery. And then the others that have the little watch glass on them is on there to weigh down to make sure that we've got good contact with the upholstery. We had to deal with some of these other oddly shaped, non-upholstered types of seats and backrests, and you see some of the things we did there, putting a clay seal around the shot glass and some other things like that to make sure chemicals didn't run off the chair. So we have that all figured out now. It's all done. But the next thing that we really turned to was to try to develop a tool. I think this is the neatest part of this standard. This is a tool to help you as lab planners and to help users to actually detail the requirements they need for their lab seating. And that way it helps assure that they're going to get the right kind of chair for use in their lab. The other nice thing about this is, you can quickly determine what you need for a lab chair, but once you know what that is, then you can send that requirement out to multiple manufacturers to get different quotes. So you can see whether you prefer product A, B, C, or whatever it may be, and also it gives you a good chance to get competitive quotes. So it's a really nice tool for that. One thing to remember is that this is not exhaustive. It doesn't cover everything. I think we probably would be still working on this 10 years from now if it was exhaustive. But it is a good tool that gives you a real good opportunity to specify quickly and move that quoting process along.
And I think that this is just a really great tool for people to use, and it's really going to be helpful for them and for the end users to make sure that they get the right chair.
I think so.
Do you want to spend maybe a little bit more time, Ed, going through this selection guide in detail for everyone?
Yeah, sure. It's real easy to use, I think. Of course, I'm a chair geek, but that's all right. But the first part of this is just to give us the basic information. The first thing under seating styles, we need to determine what kind of seat are we talking about. Are we talking about a lab chair stool with a backrest, without a backrest? Or are we talking about a sit stand? Now, if you're working on a project that has multiple products, maybe there's some chairs with backs and there's some stools without backs and there's also some sit stands, be sure to fill out one of these selection guides for each different product, because they do have different needs and different things that they may have. Okay, then under the durability and safety area, to assure the safety and durability of the product must pass one of either the GS norm or the ANSI-BIFMA test to make sure that it's of the right kind of quality. And then the chair must pass the SEFA 49 chemical spot test. Okay, then under cleanability, we need to make sure that all these boxes are checked. The surfaces have to be able to be cleaned with mild cleaning solutions. The upholstery can't be of woven construction, and the surfaces can't be made of a porous or absorbent material. Okay, so in the next area, we really start to dig more into the detail of what the customer wants. And we start off with chemical resistance, because we find a wide range of this in some of the different labs that we were observing and working with. It could be something easy like a high school lab where they're just using mild cleaners to clean the chair, and that would be a 0, so a customer would just tick that. Or it could be all the way up to a biotech company that's using really harsh cleaners. Or it could be in a lab where they're using a lot of really harsh chemicals that spill on the chair frequently. That would be a 3, and tick a 3, or it could be somewhere in between. Then we've given lines below for the user to put down and give us more detailed information. What are the chemicals? What are the cleaners? What concentration are they in? Any other kinds of things? How often does this happen in a day? Those kinds of things. That helps us specify the right kind of product for the customer.
And I think that's really important. The more information we can get from the end user about the specific chemicals that are going to be used in the environment, then that helps us to better ensure that we can scope the right chair for the project.
Absolutely. And that's the cool thing about this tool, is it gets the customer to think about that and to give us that information, which you wouldn't have if they just said we need chairs.
Sure.
So we get into disinfecting properties, everything from a 0, which is none really required, all the way up to a product that may need to be self-disinfecting, with copper technology, silver ion technology, some things like that. And again, there's space down at the bottom for the customer to give us all the details of what they're using, if they're using disinfectants and how strong they are and how long they stay on, those kinds of things. Then the third thing here is the ergonomic features. It gets the customer to start to think about, okay, what do I need in terms of ergonomics? Is this just a low-level ergonomics? People only sit on this stool for 5 minutes, at a time, so it's not a real big deal. To the person who's sitting in front of a microscope, for hours at a time doing very intense and very important work, which would be a 3. And in the lines below, it gives a lot of room for people to tell us things like, how big are the people that are seeing, are they tall, are they short, what kind of tasks are being performed, how long are they sitting in the chair, what kind of adjustment features are needed. That's the kind of stuff that needs to be put in that area. Then to help and assist the user and you to determine what kind of features are they looking for in a chair, we have this feature preference area. So everything from the seat and backrest to the base to the armrest to casters and glides, foot rings, and those, all these items are on here, and you can go through with your customer and just tick the boxes of the features they're looking for. Again, for like us as a manufacturer to get a list like this, we can zero right in on what the customer is looking for. It's a big help. And the standard actually includes illustrations for all these features, so you and the user will know exactly what they do. If we're talking about a swivel tilt, okay, what is that? It actually shows what that is. Okay, and then the last part is an area for you and the customer to give us an idea of what other kind of things are they looking for. It can be anything from the colors that they're looking for, which is a big help to us, to aesthetics, to even things that can get so detailed as to materials maybe they can't have that are forbidden in their work areas. Could be aluminum is not allowed because it's going to disrupt the work that's being done in there, or some other kind of material. And that's pretty much the guide. I think it's a great tool.
And now this seating selection guide, now that is an appendix in the standard itself. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So that's where people could find that if they needed it.
Yep, and that can be printed out, and you can use that to go through and
Perfect.
yeah,
Great.
work with your customer.
That's great. Well, what's next for the SEFA Standard Committee?
Well, right now we're talking about co-chairs are talking about looking at clean room seating as our next potential area to look at, as well as static control or ESD seating, and then combinations of those two, clean room and static control. And then talking about ergonomics, do we want to get into further ergonomic recommendations, or do we leave that to another work group? We'll see.
Yeah, that's a broad topic for sure.
It is.
I'd like to take a minute now to talk a little bit about BioFit. We are the experts in seating in mission critical environments. That's where we really focus on. That's our niche, is those key mission critical environments, those key areas. So BioFit, we've been in business, as Ed stated, since 1946. We actually started from Quantity Scientific when they spun off their lab seating division. So again, that's where we've been this whole time. So this is not a new area for us. And that's where we specialize, in that clean room, ESD, laboratory markets. That's our niche. We've been in business for 76 years now, and we've been exporting for over 40 of those years. So that's not new to us either if you've got needs in that area. But at the same time, we are manufactured right here in Ohio in the USA. So relatively a local company. Our warranty is a 13-year warranty for 24/7 use. But one thing that I really want to focus and point out is the advantage of being the co-author for the standard. We actually were able to test our products throughout the process. So we know that the vast majority of our products already meet or actually exceed the 49 test SEFA standard. So we do offer, a lot of our chairs do offer a wide range of ergonomic features to them, whether that's the forward seat tilt, the waterfall front edge, lumbar support, and so on and so forth. So we do have those all taken into consideration. And here's just a variety of some different seating that have some ergonomics in them. But sometimes ergonomics are not always important.
That's true.
And in those situations, we also have a variety of options for those, whether that's because maybe they're not important because the person just has to perform a short task when they're at that specific workstation. Or maybe it's because, you know, it's the high school chemistry lab, and so that they're only going to be sitting in that there for 30 or 40 minutes at a time. And so when that's the case, we offer some stools, some fixed height stools in a variety of different heights, and those can come powder coated or chrome plated.
And those are tanks. Those
Yes.
things are really built.
That's right. That's absolutely. We also have some adjustable height stools as well. And so, you know, you've got some steel ones at the ends, polyurethane in the middle, and some upholstered seating there. And those are going to be very common. You'll see those in a lot of healthcare markets where you'll see those. We also offer a variety of non-upholstered seating options. We've got 2 polypropylene options there on the left. We've got a polyurethane there in the middle, and then we've got a wood option there on the right. The polypropylene, those are going to be really, really, those are very, very resistant to the chemicals. You know, when we did the 49 chemical test, those stood up very, very well to those environments. And then we've got the polyurethane there in the middle, and that's kind of a hybrid between the polypropylene and an upholstered seating where it does offer some cushion, but it's still very resistant as well. And then we've got the wood option, which is commonly found in the education market.
Yeah, the majority of these products we see in education, a lot in community college and college levels as well, but some in commercial labs as well. So great products for those areas.
Mm-hmm. And then if ergonomics are very important to the end user, then we've got a wide variety of options there as well.
Yeah, including the movement chair, which is pictured there on the bottom right side. That was a Neocon, Best of Neocon award winner, designed by Studio Fifield, Milan, Italy. That thing has 13 different ergonomic adjustments.
13.
Yeah, that can support everything from your arms and shoulders when you're doing things like pipetting, you know, to tilting forward, looking into a microscope, giving you good lumbar support even in that forward tilted mode. It's a great chair.
Really gives you the option to adjust it so that way it fits you and supports you just the way you need to.
Absolutely.
One last thing I want to touch on real quick before we conclude is our QR code. So each chair comes with a QR code, and then you can scan that QR code and it'll provide you with a lot of different information. One of my favorites is it'll provide you with the some short videos on how to make adjustments to that chair. There's nothing more frustrating when you sit down on a chair and you want to adjust the back or the height and you're not sure which lever you use to pull or push or how you adjust it. And the one nice thing that we've put on this is when you scan the QR code, it shows you the exact chair that you purchased. So, you know, if your chair has arms, it'll show a picture with arms or without arms, just based on what you specifically that you purchased. But the other thing that I want to note on there is that it also shows you the warranty and how much warranty period is remaining on that chair. You know, we stand behind our chairs. You know, we stand behind our products and we believe in them. They're high quality products. And this is just one way that we want to show that and to help you if you do have an issue. You can file a warranty claim right through that QR code. But, you know, again, just supporting how much we support our warranty program, we stand behind it.
Yeah, and when a customer does that, if they click that warranty link, it gives us that information in real time. You don't have to wait a week to get a call back from a dealer or that sort of thing. I mean, it comes into us right away, as well as ordering more. If you need to order more of the chairs, you can click the button, you can modify them. It takes you to Chair Builder, showing you the exact chair that you've ordered that's been scanned on that QR code. But if you want that chair without arms, you can just click and take the arms off and ask for a quote, and we can get a quote to you on that product through our dealer network. Very, very nice tool. And as is the biofit.com website, has a complete chair builder there where you can build any chair along with using the SEFA a specification guide, you can also use our chair builder just to build a chair at the same time. So.
Yeah. All right, so I want to thank you for joining us today. And at this time, we just open it up to see if anybody has any questions.